dozen times.
Ho visto Star Wars 16 volte.
17 times.
Star Wars? 22回見ました。
34.
40 times, and it was great each time.
41 Mal.
About 57 times.
69 fois.
You can never get too much of Star Wars. I've seen the first Star Wars 153 times.
Altogether, we have seen Star Wars 324 times.
May 1977. A legion of fans are already waiting when Star Wars opens at Hollywood's legendary Chinese Theater. Similar record-breaking crowds gather at the openings in Australia and England. Eager moviegoers rewrite the record books around the world as George Lucas's science fiction adventure becomes an unprecedented international phenomenon. There has indeed been nothing like it in the history of the movies. You are about to become part of the phenomenon of Star Wars. In a few minutes, you'll see a movie that's become more than just a movie. For 7 years now, it's been part of my life, and the saga it's given birth to has touched the lives of millions of others. It has a magic, Star Wars. That magic doesn't lie only in its brilliant special effects. Its power derives from its spirit of romance and adventure. It's like the movies and cliffhanging serials of the past, an exciting and very special fantasy. And when it came out, the world went instantly Star Wars crazy. It's not over. Luke Skywalker and his friends have many more adventures ahead of them. As you can imagine, they haven't heard the last of Darth Vader. In the next film, The Empire Strikes Back, the struggle between the dark and the light side of the Force takes Luke to the far-off Dagobah system. There he encounters a strange and remarkable wizard.
You are reckless.
I'm not afraid.
Sure. You will be.
The wizard is Yoda, an 800-year-old Jedi master who joins forces with the 3 galactic musketeers in their battle against the forces of evil. In the third film, Return of the Jedi, Luke and his friends encounter the quintessential evil, the giant, slimy, intergalactic gangster Jabba the Hutt. Also in Return of the Jedi, they encounter a new kind of ally, the cuddly, lovable, tiny but effective Ewok. The saga continues. The Millennium Falcon always proving that it's more than just another space buddy. 3 times have Harrison, Carrie, and I traveled back in time to that galaxy far, far away. That's roughly 375 shooting days and 1,300,000 feet of film running through a camera. Chewie's been with us the whole time, and the 2 droids, C-3PO and R2-D2, facing off against Darth Vader. We've had a lot of adventures, on screen and off. It began in Tunisia, North Africa, where the film crew of 130 people from England and the United States created the planet of Tatooine. It is to this strange land that the robots came after their escape from the Imperial forces. R2 and 3PO were only 2 of the 33 fully working robots created for the film. All were the creation of George Lucas, who at the time Star Wars opened was 33 years old. He had made only 2 other feature films, THX 1138 and American Graffiti. Neither film suggested the fantasy that would become R2-D2. His debut in Star Wars instantly established him as an international celebrity. He and 3PO emerged from the sketches as full-blown stars. Inside the gold armor plate of 3PO is a Shakespearean-trained British actor. Anthony Daniels gives life to 3PO. Kenny Baker does the same for R2. But the diminutive Baker is not always inside the world's most famous mechanical star. By the third film, R2 worked mostly as a mechanical, remote-controlled. Nevertheless, through special effects and skillful editing, he seemed to convey a whole range of human emotions.
My goodness! I started writing this. I found the most intriguing thing was to take 2 robots and make them into human beings and make them the most interesting characters in terms of the comedy element and the sort of I wanted to make the film around them, use them as a framework for the film. And I knew when I did that I would be getting myself into a lot of trouble.
33 robots on the set meant 33 dreams realized, and more than 33 nightmares experienced.
We seem to be made to suffer. It's our lot in life.
Difficulties with the robots led to a loss of time, and with each location day costing about $100,000, George's affection had to be tempered with patience. The genius of Star Wars is partly expressed in the ability of mechanicals or actors in masks and costumes to communicate their feelings perfectly. Like the Wookiee.
The Wookiee actually came from my dog, Indiana, who is a big Malamute, very large, furry dog that looks a lot like the Wookiee, only slightly smaller.
Han Solo's best friend and co-pilot is played by a gentle giant of a man, Peter Mayhew. He has endowed the Wookiee with strength and tenderness.
But there's such a lot of feeling that can go in and can be expressed that it's just a nice character to do.
In this scene from The Empire Strikes Back, Mayhew, along with Anthony Daniels as 3PO, shows how actors can communicate beyond their masks.
R2 says the chances of survival are 725 to 1.
Their friend Skywalker and Solo are lost and presumed dead.
Actually, R2 has been known to make mistakes.
Well, Your Worship, looks like you managed to keep me around for a little while longer.
I had nothing to do with it.
I think you just can't bear to let a gorgeous girl like me out of your sight.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
Star Wars' celebrated cantina sequence brought a strange and motley menagerie of creatures to the screen. But they were only the forerunners to the collection of creatures that would emerge in the next two films of the trilogy. For Return of the Jedi, Lucas and his Monster Workshop created over 60 weird and strange creatures. For Jedi, Lucas created another musical combo, this one led by solo vocalist Sly Snoodles. Sly was part marionette, part rod puppet. For Carrie Harrison and I, working with creatures and mechanicals was sometimes a trying experience. If nothing else, it always made our time spent on the Star Wars set eventful. But even more trying and less eventful were the scenes we worked on which later were completed with the magic of special effects. For instance, we worked the Millennium Falcon from the Elstree Sound Studios outside London, England. Han Solo's freighter was Star Wars' most elaborate set. Nailed to the floor of the soundstage, the Falcon remained forever earthbound. We would, of course, in the final film, appear to be hurtling through the vastness of space. For all its sophistication as a set, the motion of the Falcon was generated by a few stagehands. The special effects process, which put us in space, began with a blue screen. What special effects people call mattes were then generated. Blue screen and mattes make it possible to add different backgrounds to a scene by means of multiple exposures. In the Falcon's cockpit, we played out our terror of being caught in the magnetic pull of a Death Star we couldn't see. That was a graphic, and along with the starfield was added later. When finally combined, the starfield, the Death Star graphic, the actors on stage, and a miniature model of the Falcon also shot against blue screen, we have this completed sequence. Dogfight at the end of Star Wars was derived from World War II film action as shown in Hollywood movies. Storyboards outlined the action before it was shot. Detailed models were photographed against blue screen so that a multitude of images could be superimposed over them. Special computer-controlled cameras were developed for Star Wars and subsequently improved for its sequels. These cameras made it possible to film the climactic attack on the Death Star with a freedom not previously experienced in motion picture production. By moving the camera past the lockdown models and by remembering those motions, the computer allowed for a more complex and visually dynamic photography. The surface of the Death Star until the final attack was seen only as a graphic. For the battle scenes, a miniature model was constructed. To effect attacks on the model by the rebel planes, explosives were sometimes triggered by primitive methods. It took 2 years and $3.5 million to do the Star Wars miniature optical effects. Sir Alec Guinness, a knight playing a knight, set the theatrical tradition that inspired us to triumph over the ordeal of acting in a special effects movie. In the tractor beam sequence, in which he appears to be 100 feet in the air, Guinness is no more than 6 feet off the stage floor. To avoid building a huge and expensive set, George Lucas relied on what is called a glass painting shot. Thousands of miles from the stage in England, a California artist paints a background on glass that would later surround the scene in which Alec Guinness appears. A blank spot was left on the glass painting for the live-action scene filmed on the London stage. The glass painting was then photographed, and the scene with Alec Guinness was incorporated within it. The final effect is a masterful illusion. Darth Vader, played by actor David Prowse, is a subtle creation of many parts. He has the voice of a second actor, James Earl Jones, and is personified by the menacing breathing effects given him by the sound department.
The circle is now complete.
Special effects also helped create the drama of Darth Vader's fateful encounter with Obi-Wan. Alec Guinness enters carrying only the hilt of a sword. He's given a second sword made of special light-reflecting material. When this sword is turned to the light, the reflection will appear to be the laser beam. However, for a more dramatic effect, an animated glow is added to the laser's sword. This is called rotoscoping. Flashes of color are also printed in to enhance the scene. To prepare for Luke Skywalker's laser sword encounter with Darth Vader in The Empire Strikes Back, I had to study kendo and karate. I worked with a stunt coordinator and with fencing master Bob Anderson in England. He helped put the finishing touches on my technique for the carefully choreographed battle that was the climax of the second movie. Sound effects add another dimension to the laser sword fights in Star Wars. The creative sound of Ben Burtt and the music of composer John Williams have played a large role in the ultimate effect of the 3 Star Wars movies on their audiences. With his creative vision, mastery of the technology and art of film, George Lucas has made it possible for Carrie, Harrison, and me to take you on a journey to a galaxy far, far away. Along with our friends, we too have enjoyed taking that journey. At times, it seemed like more labor than love, but mostly it was a time of friendship and of joy.
Working on any movie set for an actor is both a time of excitement and tedium. We labor in a workaday world of detail and repetition. What we achieve in collaboration with the director and the writers and the special effects people, finally, hopefully, is a masterful illusion. It's an illusion that comes out of our collective imagination. For me, Star Wars has been so successful an experience because it does what all good movies must do. It also unlocks the imagination of its viewers. In that way, it becomes a journey and an adventure that we can share forever.